Greetings and welcome to Retention Chronicles, the podcast with learnings from expert e-commerce brands and partners. I'm your host, Mariah Parsons. If you're here, you're either on a quest for e-commerce enlightenment or you accidentally clicked the wrong link. Either way, I am thrilled you stumbled into our corner of the internet and I hope you'll stick around. We've got pearls of wisdom for everyone, whether you're running a multi-million-dollar business or simply just starting out on your entrepreneurial journey. Before we unleash the brilliance of today's guest, let's give a shout out to our podcast sponsor, Malomo. Malomo is so much more than just another Shopify app. They're post-purchase wizards, making beautiful and branded order tracking smoother than a jazz solo, so our amazing founders, like our guests, can keep their customers happy and up to date while they track their orders. So hit that subscribe button, like it'll increase your LTV overnight, and go listen to our other episodes at gomalomo.com. That's GOMALOMO.com. Get ready for insights, chuckles, and perhaps a profound realization or two with this newest episode of Retention Chronicles. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Retention Chronicles. I'm joined by Rachel today. So excited to have you here today with us. It is going to be a great episode. I already know it. These are my favorite conversations that I get to have during the week. Our audience members know this. And I told you this as well, that we just launched. This will be, like I said, this will be going live in July. So it'll seem like a lifetime away from today, but beginning of May, just launched our Corso integration this morning on the Malomo side. So I know I was so excited to get through that, publish on this, and then I got to finish out my day and chat with you, Rachel. So we are going to start with you saying hello to our listeners and then giving a bit of your background, and then we'll dive into it.
Awesome. Yeah. Super excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. I've been excited about it. I can just give a little bit of background of me. I am the VP of Performance Marketing at Ivy City Co. We are mostly a women's dress company. We've got a few other things that we've been testing out the last year, like blouses and shoes and jewelry and things like that. But Ivy's been around. By the time this comes out, we'll have hit our ninth birthday.
Oh my gosh, exciting. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up here in a few weeks. So it's been fun to I've been with the brand for, it'll almost be a year, but just to go back and look at all the things that the brand's done over the 9 years and how it's evolved. It's been a fun time for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Are you doing anything fun for the 9th birthday celebration? Or can you tell us a little bit about it? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so this week we're calling it our party collection.
Nice.
Think sparkles, sequins, bejeweled dresses, lots of tulle. They're cute. They're cute dresses. I keep thinking, how am I going to give myself enough excuses to buy all of these? And where will I wear them to? But so we'll do that. And then we'll do a little birthday sale too here in a few weeks.
Oh, that'll be awesome. I feel like right now, and it definitely influenced by the Eras Tour and Taylor Swift, but just everything is so girly and I love it.
Yes. Between Taylor Swift and the Barbie movie, we're like, oh, these are our people.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Have you been listening to the new album? Are you a Taylor Swift fan?
Okay.
Yeah,
I've been loving the new album.
Same. Just literally like 2 minutes before I hopped on this call, I was like, okay, I guess I'll pause the album.
Yep.
And then come back to it, of course, when it's all said and done. But okay, very exciting. I feel like, 9 years, that is an incredible accomplishment, because just the percent of people that, found a business and then actually make it to like a year, let alone 9, is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've been with Ivy. Do you all say Ivy City or Ivy? Because I think you said either or, right?
Yeah, either. Okay. The company's Ivy City, but internally a lot of people just say Ivy.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Maybe by the end of this podcast, I can be like in the in crowd.
Totally.
It's like the nickname, right? Okay. So you joined the team a year ago. So can you kind of walk us through your background before Ivy and just like how you landed at this team?
Yeah. I worked in the agency space for quite a few years. Let's see, probably 6.5, 7 years was at 2 different agencies. and started off specifically in the paid social space and worked a lot with Facebook and Instagram, and then Pinterest, and then TikTok when that came along. The agency that I finished at, I was there for about 5 years. And by the end, I was over all of the social division. So I had probably about 25 people on my division running social ads for both B2B and B2C clients. So we had about 150-ish accounts that rolled up to me, and my job was to make sure that these clients were all having the best experience that we could give them, that they were hitting their goals and results, and that the people on my team were learning and progressing too. So a lot of experience in the social sphere. From there, I went to a beauty brand where my main job was to help with new customers and brand and revenue growth. And that was a lot of fun. Did that, found that I really like working in-house with a brand because you can go a little bit deeper. Though I will always be so grateful for everything I learned at the agencies. Um, and then Ivy City, my sister actually sent me the job posting and said, I think this may be your dream job. And I said, I think you might be
I
right.
think you're
So
right.
yeah, so I applied for that job. I applied for the job just to see what they were looking for, and ended up being a really good match. And so currently what I'm doing, I oversee basically anything that we put spend behind. So our paid ads on all of the different platforms is one arm of it. I've got the influencer and like affiliate team is the second arm, and then retention with email, SMS, customer lifetime journey, all of that. And then PR. So those are like the four buckets I've got my hands in currently, which has been a lot of fun. It's been cool to be able to dive deeper into just like every part of the business. It's a tricky job because I feel really responsible for revenue, because I'm like, oh, all new customers and old customers. All right, yes, I will. I'll help them all. But it's a lot of fun to figure out what people are looking for, and how to give them the best experience.
I love that. So it's totally okay if you don't have a mental like rank of them, but I'm always curious because paid social is probably something that well, not probably, I know, we don't really, a lot of our traffic is organic. And
Yeah,
so I'm always curious to hear how someone like, and PR too,
yeah.
of like, do you have just what you enjoy and what you find the most interesting to work on? Like what really gets you going? Do you have
Yeah.
like a mental rank of those four categories at all?
Yeah, I love I mean, it's what I've done the most, and I love paid social. I think for me it's a really good mix of creative meets analytics, and those are the two parts of my brain that I really like playing around with. So I like being able to look through our creative and say, is this giving the right message to the person? Are they hearing what they need to hear? It's interesting with dresses because a lot of marketing, I think, can get really sloppy to just be like, oh, it's a pretty dress. Let's show it to people. Let's find the right person. But to really give them the right experience, like some of our best ads are ones where people are taking like selfie videos in the mirror and talking about what they love about themselves in the dress. Like, I love how this makes me look. I love how this makes me feel. And just to be able to connect to someone a little bit deeper versus just like, oh, it's a pretty dress. That's fun. And then meets the analytics side of, okay, what are the numbers behind this? What do I need to do to hit our revenue targets, our CAC targets, our just every number you can think of. And those mesh really well for me in social, because they have both of them. I also find like YouTube campaigns to be a lot of fun, I think, because of the same thing. It gets my creative brain working. So that's fun. But PR has also been kind of fun too. That one's more of like, it's a longer journey of seeing results from it, but every once in a while we get a really big hit that we were working on like 3 or 4 months ago, and then seeing some of the like, I guess, fruit of our labors from that start, and like see a big partnership come together. That's also a lot of fun.
Okay, love it. So social and PR are definitely the top.
Probably. I mean, you need everything else, right? You need the search and influencers and all of that. It's all good, but for me, that's where I find a lot of fun.
Yes, yeah. I think I very much, like SEO search is one
Yeah.
of those things of you need to do it. Like there is a lot of obviously a lot of benefits to
Totally.
being searchable.
Yeah, totally.
But I kind of in the same encampment, I guess, where being able to find a creative way to showcase this on social and I call it, I guess, chaotic, like neutral marketing, or where it's just like
Uh,
the Duolingo or the Chipotle
yeah.
of the world, where their team has so much confidence in each other that they're able to be they're able to stretch the line a little bit further
Mhm.
past like what you would expect, and it works, at least in my
Yeah.
opinion. It really
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. I think it's
Especially in the day and age of engagement is what you're looking for, and like attention.
Mhm.
uh so I always find it so interesting. And then PR as well, we've seen just with some organic stuff around launches how it's, like you said, a little bit longer tail results um when you're dealing with that kind of thing. You said that some of your best ads are more like UGC type of people actually trying on dresses and talking about, this is XYZ reason why I'm really liking the dress. Do you find that like for UGC ads, you're able to pull from like, are you, so this is how I want to phrase it. Are you seeing people just talk about your dresses naturally, or are you going out and finding influencers of like, okay, this is their audience matches our target audience, so we want to do more of a organized like affiliate campaign with that person?
Yeah, we do a little of both.
Mhm.
It's interesting. I think this won't work for every business, but the product is really good. It's high quality. It's
Love
the
that.
I know it makes my job so much easier. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times we'll have people reach out or we'll reach out to influencers. Um, and we don't do a lot of upfront payments. It just hasn't worked well for us in the past. So we'll do like an affiliate thing, a percentage of sales, or like product trade, depending on the person and the following and things like that. But it's so interesting to me that if we say, I don't know that this partnership will work, most of the time the person will come back and be like, okay, I'll do the product trade or I'll do the percent of sales or things like that, which is so nice because it speaks to the product that people want it. Which is, I guess, a little bit of a tangent. But to answer your question, we do a little bit of both. So we get a lot of just and I guess where I was going with that is we get a lot of good content without really having to pay a ton of money for it because people want the product. So
Mhm.
I definitely pull from our influencer like specific programs that we have going on and we'll run some of those as ads, but it's been interesting to me just to even I want it to be authentic, but at our photo shoots, either me or the videographer who's there, I'll just have them pull them and be like, "Hey, of every dress you put on today, which one's your favorite?" Okay. Now,
Mhm.
just like, can you just talk to the camera like you're talking to your sister and tell me what you like about this dress? And so then they'll go find their favorite dress, be like, this is one I like the best. This is why I like how I look in it. I like this cut. And those have done really well. So I'll try to do a mix of things. We always will have a mix of more professionally curated videos too with our launches, but I think the ones that feel raw and personal to people, they just tend to resonate.
Yes. Okay. So I love that you brought up kind of how you're thinking through an actual photo shoot of like what you're, I guess, prompting someone to think about, like address in a certain way, or like talk like you're talking to your sister.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that it was a recent Dove campaign of, and it was like a national campaign. They were speaking to how like AI generated images will just become more and more common. So
Mhm.
I want to ask, is that something you all are thinking through, or has that popped up at all in terms of like their campaign was around like, we will never use AI generated content because that's not what we've been working for 20 years. I don't know if you saw this. It was like going around on social for a bit. And I got it sent to me and I was like, oh, that's a great campaign. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm curious, like, what are your preliminary thoughts, I guess? Are there any discussions around what this could look like, what it maybe wouldn't look like, all that stuff?
Yeah, we've just very briefly talked about it. It's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of costs associated with photo shoots, and they're needed, and um, they like pay for themselves, but there's a lot of cost with it. And so it's like, do we shoot everything in studio? Right now we do everything in lifestyle and everything in studio. So do we just shoot everything in studio and have AI put the beautiful lifestyle background shots in it? We want people to see lifestyle. I think it helps sell the dress better, to be able to see where you would wear this. Like, what does this look like? Um, but I feel like there's an ethical question there too with, do we just shoot it on a mannequin and then have an AI generated model? I don't think we'd ever go there, because I do think there's an ethical line. Like, I want the models to have work. I think there's a human connection, obviously, that's better than an AI or like a generated connection. So we've like very briefly talked about it. And is this something that we would do to save on costs? Is it worth it in the long run? What does that all look like? And so I think there is probably a balance between the two of like, yeah, maybe it's more effective and efficient for our team to shoot some things in studio still on a model, but like maybe AI generate background so that we can give people different options of, this is the dress at the beach, this is the dress at the chapel, this is the dress at the park, kind of a thing. Which hopefully would be more helpful to the consumer, which it just doesn't make sense time wise or budget wise to shoot at so many locations currently. So that could potentially be helpful. But yeah, AI is an interesting one. I mean, I use it to help me write ad copy, and
Oh
that's
yeah. I
but
mean, content wise, yeah, same.
yeah, I love that. But yeah, I'm interested to see where that all goes. But yeah, I'd say very, very high level conversation
Mhm.
about it so far.
Yes, I do think too, yeah, the differences of like images versus copy, like creative versus copy. And then
Yeah,
also like the story that you're telling of like, okay,
yeah,
what's the most important piece? Like it should be how someone feels in this
mhm,
dress versus another dress. So it's
yeah,
like, if that's the main point, then like maybe that should be, like you said, something that is not generated with the software, but then something that is maybe more of like a minor note of the whole campaign, then it
yeah,
could, like a background or even like product images that you can make it like, okay, have this be sitting in this setting,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then have the same product be sitting in this setting, all that stuff. So super interesting. I want to keep talking about all of the like nuances with like social media and PR, because they're very closely related, and it isn't often that we get someone who also is in charge of PR. So I would love to hear how you kind of compare and contrast the two of like, this is where they work really well together, obviously trying to get maximum coverage, but then where do you kind of draw the line between like, this is what sits in the PR bucket versus this is what sits in the social bucket?
Yeah, I think we're in a really cool spot as a company that our social, like our organic social, does so well. I think
Mm-hmm.
we spend a lot of time there. We've gone out of our way to feel like I don't even know the word, but a brand hopefully people want to follow, and we
Authentic.
take it really seriously when people tag us and things. We want to comment on those. We want to interact with our community. Like, we really want to be a community. I think that's what I'm looking for, is
Yeah.
we've really taken that seriously, that our social is a community building space. Um, and so everything there is a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging. I think depending on the platform, we've got slightly different content for TikTok than we do Instagram. But PR for us, we've seen the most success in putting our new or our unique things out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we just launched a bridesmaids bridal line. So bridesmaids, little flower girl dresses, matching like groomsmen ties, bow ties. Um, and so that's where the PR space has really picked up for us, is, can we get on the publishers that brides are looking at? Can we get on the places that people are looking for, even like wedding guest type dresses? Um, and and then working with the team to, okay, go find those people. How do we get there? What does that look like? The other thing PR has done really well for us, which has kind of been a secondary, like additional KPI that I've really liked, is that organic traffic is way up. I think because we have so many links that it's kind of playing that SEO role for us in a lot of ways. we've started ranking for a lot of search terms organically that we weren't before we were really pushing PR. So that's kind of how that's worked. And then all of our dresses come in usually 24 sizes, 11 if it's alpha sizing, it's extra, extra small through 5X, and then 24 if it's numeric, we're 00 through 34. And so just making sure that that story's in the right place too, that we are a very inclusive brand and inclusive in the mommy and me space. So I really love when customers come back and say in all sizes that they love that they can match their daughter. Like if someone's an extra, extra small, typically there's not a cut for them and a cut for a little girl that are different that would fit to both styles, right? And then the same thing, like I love when people come back and say, thank you so much for having my size and my daughter's size on the plus size aspect of it too. And I really love that we've been able to make that community. So I think we play that really well in our socials too. And I think those work together, but PR wise, getting in the right articles, getting in the right spaces so that those communities know what we're offering has been really impactful. And that being both plus and mommy and me. Mommy and me is one of our specialties. I feel like we were one of the first brands to do that. And anyways, that's just been a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
all of that will be showcased on social in a little bit more fun way, but PR wise, we're just trying to get ourselves in the right spots so that people know.
Yes, that totally makes sense. I feel like with the mommy and me aspect of your product line, like when I was going through the website, I was like the little girl in me that I was playing with American Girl dolls and like wanted to match my American Girl. I was like, this is exactly that translated into a real life or the Barbie movie. Like, right, you're wanting to match whatever.
Yeah,
it's
I don't have
fun.
any kids, but all the time I'm like, do I just need to buy these little girl clothes just in case?
Just to have them? Yeah. Like, do they fit a pet? Like, where can I?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very fun. You also mentioned something that stuck out to me, which was that like your content is slightly different for Instagram and TikTok. I think a lot of the brands I've spoken with on this podcast and a lot of the just like what I see hovering on the internet and what people are paying attention to, a lot of people are trying to crack TikTok because it's the newest platform, and it's like the virality component of it is very strong and all that jazz. So I would love for you to kind of double tap on that a little bit more and explain it, because I think that's something that could be very tactical for brands if they're trying to have their TikTok account and their Instagram account, like where can they reuse content or use the same type, and then what are you doing to make it different?
Yeah, I think we work a lot as a team to figure that out. I don't know that there's an exact answer, and it'll probably change again in the next few months, but Instagram for us has been more like our curated videos work really well there where they don't on TikTok. And so the things that we go out and video for a collection, we'll still post them in both places, but they don't necessarily take off on TikTok. Gotcha. We've done some videos like the Guess the Singer type video. And it's been fun because for a lot of our shoots, we have models of 11 to 24 sizes there, so we can showcase the full size range. And we'll do like Guess the Singer type things with that. And that's one that does really well on Instagram and really well on TikTok. I think everyone's like, just no matter where they are, they want to guess, they want to be a part of that. Some of the things that are a little bit like more fun behind the scenes, it doesn't necessarily fit like our style on Instagram, but it's fun and typically does decently well on TikTok. So it's always a little bit of a balance between it. I feel like with Reels and what Instagram's pushing, that platform's become a little bit more TikTok-y, so to speak, too. And so I feel like the overlap is getting more and more. But Instagram for us is a lot of people who have either bought from us or would like to buy from us. Our price point's a little bit higher than other people in the space, which I think our dress quality really speaks to. And so if someone buys from us, then they usually also are excited about the price because they see the quality of the dress. So we've got the people who have bought and the people who would like to buy someday. usually in Instagram, where TikTok for us, I feel like is more of a new customer place of people who are watching because of some of the fun videos or because of the fun content that we've had. So we'll speak to people a little bit differently there too with launches. Instagram's a really big community for us, where TikTok is maybe those friends kind of a thing that we the friends we'd love to bring in.
Yeah. Yeah, I like kind of a higher funnel, like
Yeah.
branding. You're just
Mhm.
getting acquainted with like what do you all even do type thing rather
Yeah.
than someone who's on Instagram probably looking.
On
I was
Instagram, yeah. I'm assuming we're talking to someone who knows us. TikTok, I'm assuming we're talking to someone who doesn't know us.
Yeah, okay, that's a great, I guess, easy generalist
Yeah.
law to live by in the crazy land of social media. I was speaking to so I live in Indianapolis, but I went to a e-commerce DC happy hour in Chicago, and I was speaking to
Okay.
someone there who runs social for um his brand, and we were talking about how like I go on someone's social media, especially if I'm not familiar with their name before seeing it online. I'll
Uh-huh.
go to their social media to like look through, okay, what do they offer? What's, are they a reputable brand?
Yep.
All that, all that kind of stuff. Whereas I think like my parents' generation wouldn't think to go on an
Yeah.
Instagram to like verify the.
I tell my mom that all the time.
Isn't that hilarious? And he was like, "Oh, I've never thought about that." And he's like, "You just gave me a great idea of like what we need to do because they just are, getting started and
Yeah.
they haven't really hacked the social media side of things yet." Um,
Yeah.
so he was
That's
like, "Oh my God, that's such a good thing to know for like
yeah. I
someone who's
used to tell
shopping."
people that all the time at the agency I worked with because we had what I consider to be fun brands. We had a lot of fun brands, and then we had a lot of brands that like, is it worth their time and effort to invest in an organic strategy? I don't know. Probably not. Like, I don't know that you should spend too much money for the car dealership down the road, like, or a bank or like things like that.
Yeah.
And you totally could. But if it's not a priority, I'd always tell people like have a presence there though. So when someone looks you up, you look legit. Because
Yeah.
that's my mom will send me ads all the time and be like, is this a legitimate company? And I always say, have you looked at their Instagram?
Yeah.
What does their website look like? Does it look like it's legit? You're probably okay. This one, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of
Exactly.
scammy. You're not, don't buy from them.
It's not worth it. Yeah, yeah. I've had the same conversations with my mom as well. If like she'll send me something, she's like, "This is cute. Is it good? Like, is it good to buy from?" I'm like, "Well, let's look at a couple of things."
Yeah.
Especially like if it's a targeted ad. And like now from working the space, I know that, right? But like
Yeah.
having to explain that to someone who isn't in
Right.
marketing or just in this space at all, like my mother's in healthcare. And so to not know like, oh, this is someone that's either a targeted ad, like a sponsored ad, or it's someone who might be an influencer or something of the sort. If like your first interaction with something is trying to sell you, I'm like, just go like click on the profile that is talking to you right now and just see what you get, right? Of like if this person has like zero posts, probably don't like
Yep.
answer their message or right, like
Yep.
little things like that where I guess it's like etiquette, maybe like social media
Yeah.
etiquette or whatever
Yeah.
that we maybe inherited from growing up in this
Yes.
crazy.
I would love someday, maybe I should just do it to be like, hey, PSA to everyone on Facebook who's over 40 years old. The
Mhm.
giveaways are scams if you click on it and the page was made yesterday.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
like that's a great example as well.
yeah, if
I
it's too good to
actually
be true, it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sadly, this is so timely too because just last night, my friend, we're coming back to Taylor Swift, knows that I would love to see her in concert, and I saw her in concert already, but like, how could I not try and go?
Again, yeah, totally.
And she's coming to Indianapolis, so I was like, oh my
Oh, you
God,
got to,
the
yeah.
opportunity, yeah. So he had sent me someone who posted in a Facebook group of, I have these 4 tickets I'm trying to sell. And from me being in marketing, when I saw the screenshot, and I can
Mm.
say this after, like the text itself, it was like the email from Ticketmaster was like from the screenshot was fuzzier than like when they typed over their like own name and like your tickets are confirmed or whatever. And I was
Uh,
like, these sneaky people, because
yeah.
wouldn't know unless you would know. Like I know that to look for the weirdness, quote unquote, in an
Right.
email, something that would be off because I
Right.
work in this industry. But
Yep.
people who don't, or like a 14-year-old who is seeing that and sending that to her mom, and the mom is like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I would love to take you. Like, right? They're just gonna, it's like
Yeah.
so sad. So I was, telling my friends that I was with, I was like, stay safe because things like this, you don't know.
Yes.
So it's definitely a tangent, and I think very applicable of bringing it back to make sure that your presence, even if you're not like going viral or if you don't have hundreds of thousands of followers, there still is,
Something.
there is, yes, there is something, there's value of just having consistent brand of awareness or appearance on social
Yeah.
media for
Yep.
that reason.
Yep.
Um, which is, yeah, it's just, I'm sure everyone has felt at least once in their life of like, oh, do I trust this brand?
Yep. Yep.
How do I investigate? So little disclaimer out there, I guess. So I would love to hear about what it was like transitioning from just focusing more on the paid social side with agencies and representing, Rolodex or a book of different brands versus in-house, and focusing more on performance marketing and like the four different buckets
Yeah.
that spoke to earlier in the episode. Like, what was something that you, when you hopped into this seat, you weren't maybe expecting or had been a challenge that was like unforeseen?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting just the depth that you go into focusing on one brand versus a lot of brands, which I think has been super fun. But just, I think like I had a really cool opportunity at the agency I was at to eventually I was working just with the biggest brand that we were working with a couple other people. And so I kind of got that experience from the agency side of, okay, these people are spending enough, there's enough going on that like they merit someone's full-time attention from us. And so I got to see like get a taste of that even there. But the biggest difference I think being in-house has been um, I knew what all these channels did, right? Like I worked with their in-house teams or I worked with other people at the agency. Like I knew really well how these work together. I knew the strategies behind all of them. It's been interesting to figure out how the details of everything work together. Um, for like a brand, for us, like a launch, just the details that down to our customer service team needs to know, which it's just not been in my sphere before. I've just been so marketing focused. I'm like, oh, right, customer service, you would probably really like to know this. Or
Yeah.
website needs to be ready to go before I launch something, obviously, right? But just like little things like that have come up. Um, I think the other thing that's been cool is just I feel like I've gotten to be more almost even of a business leader to think through what is our promotional strategy? Do we want to be a promotional brand? We don't want to be a promotional brand. So what does that look like? What does what happens when we move items to a discount bucket or a markdown page? Do we want to market that? Do we not? Like what does the long-term effect look like on the brand versus what's our return on ad spend today kind of a thing. And I'm obviously still looking at that, but some of those bigger picture questions have been fun to dive into. I think the same thing on like even the supply chain side. Never had to worry about any of that with like at an agency, but to work with that team to say, okay, are the things going to get here in time? What does
Mhm.
that mean for marketing if they do or don't? What's the impact to sales if we put like a ship by date on something? Or
Mhm.
if we do a pre-order, what does that do to like my revenue targets? Do I think they move because of that? And so just like all of those details and how they play together in the larger sphere for a business has probably been the biggest difference. But I think it's been a lot of fun because it's a lot of like small challenges that need problem solved and I like doing that.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought up one, the supply chain of like just having to think through, okay,
Yeah.
what's the feasibility of all of this?
Yep.
And then the customer experience as well. So, as our listeners know, we talk a lot about the customer experience and like how, I guess, the like littler touches, like air quotes on that, because like we all are consumers and we know it's like a little touch, but it's also like it means so much in the consumer world of like really going the extra mile and making sure the customer experience is a good one.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, how are you thinking about the customer experience from like a marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
where you're like checking in, I guess, with your team of like, okay, what are these little things that we can tweak, or what are the knobs that we can turn to make sure that the customer experience is, is keeping up with the expectation your customers have.
Yeah, I mean, customer experience is at the root of everything because my numbers will never make sense if people only ever buy once. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole way everything is programmed, what we're spending, what we're doing is so that people will come back. And so I need them to have the best experience possible to so that the business grows and so that everything keeps working. So that being said, like that those details I feel like are constantly at the top of my mind with like so an example from this last week, which will be timely when this episode comes out, is we've got a dress that will launch with our 4th of July collection that the manufacturer put on a boat instead of air shipping like they were supposed to. So what I spent yesterday doing was thinking through all of the different marketing scenarios. Do we launch it with our 4th of July collection or do we not? The dress is too 4th of July-y to me for it to launch with anything else. Um, and so then also looking through, okay, so we're going to be a few weeks later getting this than I thought. Can I launch it at the same time with its collection? Should it be its own one-off thing? What does that look like? I'd like people to buy this with the little girl's version or with the family version of this. And so from a customer perspective, it's probably not the best experience for them if they have to pay for shipping twice, or if they have to get this multiple times, or if this version isn't out when there's other versions that will be out. And so then I'm also thinking through like, will they get it in time for the 4th of July? That's what we're calling out. And at the end of the day, yes, they'll get it in time for the 4th of July. So we'll probably just end up putting like this will ship by X date. They'll still get it in time. From a customer's perspective, if they buy something else with us, we'll probably split ship and we'll cover the cost of the second shipping so that they are having a good experience if they're buying multiple things from us. But that's like a very small example of
That was like
how
very
we're
fun.
through that. but yeah, I want our customers to have a really good experience. I think that's something that we do really well, and it's something that is a differentiator for us in the market, is that we do make sure customers come first. And so yeah, even those small details are important in that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that it was real quick, but you said like you have the I guess like this dress will ship later because you have that expectation like right there front and center for the customer to see, so that if and when they get that second shipment, they're not like, what is going on
Yeah.
here? And they know that, yeah, the most important part is that they're buying something and can, when they intend to wear it, they'll have it all.
Got it. Yes.
Even if it's, when they're buying it, you don't maybe have it in your warehouse or wherever you're shipping from. I also want to ask, and I know we're rounding up on our time here. Notoriously, the apparel industry sees a lot of returns and exchanges just because of the nature of, you want something to fit. I know, like, I sometimes struggled with new companies trying their sizing guide and like all the different guidelines, and just everybody is different. So I wanted to ask you, yeah, do you experience a decent amount of returns and exchanges? And then how are you kind of mindful thinking through like what that looks like with a customer experience in this like bigger umbrella topic?
Yeah, I think a few things come to mind. So apparel does have higher return rates or exchange rates than anything else. When we look at our KPIs as like a leadership team, we love exchanges. I mean, obviously we want it to fit the same time or
Yeah.
the first time, but if someone's exchanging and that number, our percentage for last week's higher, great. They liked the dress, they liked the quality, they wanted to keep it, they're just getting the same size. Returns wise, actually, we've done a ton this last year to bring our returns down. And it's worked. Our returns are down significantly year over year. And so a few things, this is mostly on the product development team. They've done a lot of good work, but we have a few different manufacturers. So sometimes things would fit differently. And so we were giving our customers measurements for every single dress, and then they'd have to measure themselves for every single dress to make sure that fits. And that that was a poor customer experience. So we developed a body chart internally that all of our manufacturers now have to abide by. We check every dress sample that comes in to make sure, okay, the extra small, yep, that fits our sizing. Our extra large, yep, that fits to the body chart. The 5X, that fits to the body chart. And so there's always going to be like a tiny bit of difference, just that's the nature of the game. But for the most part, having that has been a really positive change for returns. The other thing we've done is we moved any of our tight dresses, so the ones basically that aren't smocked, to numeric sizing versus alpha sizing. So instead of having 11 options from extra, extra small to 5X, like I said, we have 24 now. And so, for example, our medium is like an 8, 10, I think an 8 or a 10 now. And so if you're on the smaller size of medium, great, go with an 8. If you're on the larger size of medium, great, go with a 10. And so there's a little bit of variance within that. So because everyone's bodies are different, so if you know, like, yeah, this one's fitted in the waist, I've got a smaller waist, I should probably size down, or something like that. So that also has been really good. And then, like I said, we'd love for people to exchange. We do free exchanges, and our customer service team is always trying to help with any customer questions. If anyone has a sizing question, we're like, great, send us your measurements. We'll tell you what we recommend for the dress and things like that. Because I get it, apparel's hard. It's been interesting. This is something I didn't know before working in apparel. I could price things cheaper if we didn't have the return rates that we do. Like if I do a sale that's like sale on sale and everything's final sale, I can give everyone such better discounts because I know we won't get any returns and I don't have to account for that. So it's like such a beast, but in the end, it would be better for the company and the consumer if returns were better. So that's something that is always top of mind for us.
Okay, that's a great. I haven't heard anyone kind of articulate that of like if returns were better, which would solve like motivated by both parties of assuming
Yeah.
that, like I'm ordering this order because I want it and you
Yeah.
all providing it to me. That it would be a better win-win scenario if there was just less returns overall. This is something, and I like similar to what you said around I wouldn't have known this without having been in the apparel industry. I
Yeah.
would have never have given two thoughts about returns and exchanges, the differences, all that on like the business end of things. If we
Yeah.
had at Malomo integrated with Loop, where that's their whole jam, right? Of returns and exchanges and how do you reduce those returns so that you can have better profit margins, but also offer your product at a lower price to
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
help
I
your
think
customers.
people think they're like, oh, businesses are just greedy. They want to get as much money out of them as they can. And the conversations we're consistently having are how do we get prices to be as low as possible because more people will buy. Like it makes my job easier. The cheaper
Yes.
that we can price things, then more people want it. But it's like balancing all of those numbers. And yeah, returns is a big part of it. If something's final sale, I can offer a bigger discount. I can spend more on marketing to get the right person. Like it changes the numbers quite a bit.
Yeah. And two, I don't even like, again, I would have been naive to all the things that actually cost money and what they cost if I
Yeah.
wasn't in this space. Like if I was just a consumer and I didn't
Yeah.
work in retail, e-com, like
Yep.
anything that touched kind of like a consumer selling point, I would be like, what the like you don't need all this stuff. It's you probably have such big profit margins. And then it's like, no, money can go so
And it
quickly. With
goes
like
so
ads are so
quickly. Yes.
expensive, like all of this stuff that you just wouldn't think about. And it's easy because as a consumer, you're seeing the dollar amount and you're going, it's just for the product itself.
Right.
Like you don't think about all the other, software, all the other things that are feeding
Totally.
into what that
Yep.
price means. So I totally get it. That yeah, it's an easy assumption or easy fallacy to believe that like, oh, it's just the cost of the product plus
Right.
the business getting a little bit on top of it. So I love it. I want to round out this episode. You've given us a couple of teasers in terms of you're looking forward to in July with product launch. Is there anything else that you want to, say to our audience, get out there, keeping in mind the timing of our recording and then our launch date for the episode?
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting time for Ivy. We basically are launching new product every week. So first week of July, we'll finish out the last of our summer launches, and then we go straight into fall. So if you're getting ready for any sort of fall event in the next couple weeks, we've got you covered. I'm also really excited. I said earlier we launched bridal, like a bridal party line. Part 1 came out in the spring. Part 2 just probably came out in the summer before you're listening to this, and then part 3 in the fall will come out with like a fall bridal bridesmaids ties, again, flower girl accessories type line. And those, I just saw all the samples for those. They're super cute. So excited about all of those things.
I'm excited to see them. I have a ton of weddings coming up, so I'll definitely just be sending people, be like, check this website out. Yes. All that fun stuff. But Rachel, it's been a joy to have you on today. I can't wait to continue to follow you and everything that Ivy is doing with your weekly product launches, which is like a crazy, insane timeline. So just congrats on being able to do that. But this has been a joy just talking about all things performance marketing with you. So thank you.
Yes, appreciate it.